The biggest problem that I have run into when I'm consulting creatives is they don't think big enough about themselves. They would say, I would never list myself as a professional illustrator because I'm not good enough to do that, even if their art is amazing. So you drew this. It turns out that you are at least somewhat talented in the creative arts.
Ok- Okay, so am I supposed to look at your stream or
No,
not?
I
Because I
just
don't
tell
see this.
I'm you know what you drew. It's the one thing you drew. Today, okay, we are joined by a very special guest. This is John Silva. You have a wide range of art history, a history of doing art in the industry, art his
Yes,
industry. Yes. So,
for the most part.
I think that the direction we'll probably go in this talk, among other things, is sort of to like paint a picture. See how I did that? Of
Good one.
s- of if you are a creative artist or music or a music person or a person that's so art is a very specific category of influencer. Let's start there, right?
Mhm.
Whereas somebody might play a game or somebody might do an informative content or educational content or something like that. Art content is something that is really different and it has to be addressed differently. There are different social media platforms that make it effective, and there are different ways to build a brand as an artist. I think that it's productive to talk about that and then also to sort of cover a lot of the things that you're an expert on, such as like charging people for money. Not to say that like you're an expert on charging people, but like you understand rates, which a lot of people don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and like going through some of the pitfalls that artists might run into when trying to actually seriously be a professional.
Okay,
So I think that kind
I'm
of
down.
opens up that sort of like discusses the scope of things. But what I'd like to start with, I think, and this is like not that like official, we're just chilling, right? But like, um, I'm sure a lot of people are asking, how did you get this good?
I um, do you know WoW streamers?
Yes.
Take that, but art. It's all I did. No friends. Um, no wife and kids. Just me and art, pretty much. And
What?
I know life takes for a long time.
Why did you
That's pretty
decide to
much it.
start streaming? And when did you decide to start streaming?
I started streaming because I was lonely.
Okay.
It's a sad. I mean, it's just how like once you okay. I'll answer seriously. So I was desperate. No, I mean that was a serious answer, but I'll go more into detail.
Uh huh.
I was really desperate because I didn't want to work at McDonald's. I found a website called DeviantArt. And I'm like, because I was looking for some pictures or some shit. And I kind of doodled here and there, like throughout my life, but it was nothing like super serious. Um, and I'm like, oh, DeviantArt. Uh, I saw some images. I click on them. I read the comments, and I'm like, oh, commission for blah blah blah. I'm like, what do you mean commission? People get paid for this?
Hmm.
What's what's happening? So I started messaging a bunch of artists, pretty much just asking, like, are you are you getting paid for this? How much? Blah blah blah. No one answered besides two. I must have sent like 30 to 40 like messages. Only two of them answered, and one of them pointed me towards a website called conceptart.org, which is dead now.
Hmm.
Um, and in there was pretty much, I'd say I was lucky because there was already information, quote unquote, readily available for me. I just kind of had to
What
follow.
do you mean information readily available? What does that mean?
So it was a forum,
Yeah.
um, and everyone was posting what they were practicing
Hmm.
and how they were getting better, right? And then the top posts were like people who were like really really good, and everyone pretty much just copied what they were doing. And what they were doing is just like, you read some books by yourself, you study. So a study in art is not the same as like you open a book and you just like cram it. It's like you get references like pictures or whatever, and then you copy them and you try to figure out what the fuck is going on. Wait, can I swear? No, yeah, I can swear. I watch your streams. So you figure out what the hell is going on, right? So
Mm.
I did that for a long time, literally to everything, like anatomy, lighting, colors, literally everything and anything.
Mm.
And I did that for, and now here's the part. Any artist listening, don't do this, but I've done it. I was painting a minimum of 16 hours a day.
Oh my God.
Every single day. There was
16?
16 minimum. 15, 16. Yeah. Every single day. Like no breaks. For like a year. There was 2 to 3 weeks of my life I remember clearly because I wanted to die because I was painting for like 20 hours, like barely sleeping because I was so desperate. Now, don't do that. You're an idiot if you do that. Like I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die early because of this.
Desperate for
Uh,
what?
Desperate to get work. I wanted to make a living off from it, pretty much. Um, I was like infatuated by it. I'm like, oh, I can draw pictures and get money. I just need to be good. So let's, speed run this pretty much.
Hmm.
And that is the very like TLDR beginning of my art career. Um, I went pretty ham for like a year, maybe two, and then every year I would take hours away up until like 8 hours, like just normal 8 hours. I think on my third year, I was like pretty much just painting 8 hours, but still, studios they make you stay like work longer because like deadlines and
Hmm.
shit because no one knows like we'll get there, but no one knows how to manage time in indie AAA studios. It doesn't matter. No one knows how to manage time. It's my biggest complaint. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's
Okay.
very TLDR.
So how did you start? You went from drawing like 16 to 20 hours a day. How did you
Yeah.
start making income? What was the very first thing you did?
I oh boy. So the very first thing I got paid for was hentai.
Oh, I was gonna. Okay, yeah. I know people that make an absolutely insane amount of money doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
like a ridiculous amount of money.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
But I was not being paid a ridiculous amount of money. I was being paid $50. And then the guy kept getting like weirder and weirder about it.
It's one
And
guy.
he kept oh dude, let me tell you about this guy real quick. He had a website
Okay.
that was like password locked. It was like his own gallery of like just weird shit. And he gave me the password so that I would go in and like upload. But I didn't just go in and upload. I looked through to see what the fuck is this guy doing. It's like all kinds of weird stuff. I stopped when he asked me to draw a half kangaroo, half anime girl, which by the way, there wasn't many furries back then, so he was probably a pioneer at the time.
I see. Okay.
I'm derailing. Keep going.
No, this is directly on topic. So were you drawing like weird fetish stuff?
It wasn't really weird. I stopped at the weird stuff, which I'm not gonna describe because it's very TOS. But he kept like increasing his prices because I kept saying no until he just quit. But I wasn't paid a lot. I would
Okay.
be paid a lot now. But
If you went back and you did hentai, yeah. So if you were you were getting money per commission for this?
yes.
Okay.
And then so the real job, not to say that whoever does hentai is not real. I'm just saying that this guy in particular was just his own thing,
Yeah.
personal thing. I'll rephrase my published
What so,
job.
so I'm sorry, before that though, did you so I'm trying to get a chronological timeline
And
of
I'm giving
yeah,
you.
okay, so like what I'm
I
asking
went
is
from hentai to published.
you went
in
straight
like
there. You didn't keep doing hentai
yeah,
stuff.
no.
Okay, so you did hentai for one client and then you are
Yes.
moving okay, cool. All right, we're good. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So I was working for him, practicing on my own, right? So I was building my own portfolio on the side, completely unrelated to that.
Mhm.
And I jumped straight into like publishing because I just hold up and I wasn't pretty much like sharing everything I was doing, so people didn't know who I was. But I put a portfolio together and I started emailing companies. One of them was AEG,
Mhm.
the people who made Shadowrun, actually.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I worked for them. I don't remember if I worked on Shadowrun because it was like a long time ago, and they use like code words. They
Yeah.
don't usually use the actual project's name, just in case. Like even if you have an NDA.
Mhm.
Um, so I am pretty sure I've done some like cyber-ish stuff. I think it's even like somewhere out there on the internet still. Um, and yeah, they were my very very first published like printed uh work.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the first work you did. So, um, how did you get that job?
I emailed them.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you artists, you want a tip? Um, okay. I
Email
don't want to
people.
give bad advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to give bad advice, but this worked for me. So do it at your own cost. Some companies don't have work like job inquiry emails. You just cannot find them, right? So how do you apply for that? Let me tell you what I did. I contacted the anytime that would happen, I would contact the support to move me to the art director
That's a
or whoever
this
was
is a
below.
classic sales move. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, but I didn't know better, so I just did it. I'm like, how the
Very
fuck am I
smart.
gonna get there?
Mhm.
Uh,
That's
so I was like, oh, sorry, like I would say, oh, there's this art director, blah blah blah. Like I would know their name. Like, could you move me? I wouldn't lie, but I would make it seem like I knew them.
yeah. That another
You
very
know,
good move. Yeah.
I
This
wouldn't
is
say like, oh, I know this guy. I would just like type confidently, like, oh, could you move me to blah blah blah,
yes.
like for this project, like, yeah,
So
um,
there's a
yeah,
lot of things that you're saying right now that like we kind of have to slow down a little bit because these are really, really important points.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, like particularly that you are contacting people directly, right? Number one, this is something that a lot of artists and creatives don't understand intuitively because they tend to create with a sort of like sort of like a divine mindset. They want to like put what they want into the world, but they're not thinking in terms of how to monetize it or whatever. One of the best things that you can do is directly reach out to people in exactly the way that you said, and not assume that people are just going to find you through your work.
no, not in the
Hmm.
beginning.
Hmm.
Once you have like a steady, I'm still a baby when it comes to social media.
Hmm.
Like I'm, I feel like I'm just, wetting my toes right now. I don't even have a foot in completely. But from what like, I'm lucky to have people like you and uh, literally like everyone to help me out and give me like bits and pieces.
Um, so
Social media.
what was it that caused you to email this publisher? Why did you did
Um,
you email several publishers and just wait for a hit?
so
How did that work?
I knew I um hmm let me think. This was a while back. I knew like trading card games existed and I liked them and I knew they have like art in them. And I also knew other artists who were doing like card art,
Okay.
which is a very like very very specific
Type of
type
art.
of
Yeah.
job, and art as well. Yeah. So I was like, oh shit, this looks really cool. This looks like something I would enjoy doing and getting paid for. So I'm gonna type on Google top 10, top 20 TTRPG studios or game boards. Like I would literally just like top 10 things, and I would go down the list and like email, like spam.
Mhm.
I mean, I wouldn't spam them, but I was just like one email every 3 months. And every time, okay, so this part is actually really, really important for artists, in my opinion, is that you need to keep, even if you don't get a message saying like, oh, we got your portfolio, like still email them, don't spam them. You want to give a breathing time between like emails, and every time you update them, show them a new portfolio, and that will show that not only you're working towards like improving and you're constantly working on something, um but also I know shows like more than just your art, shows your confidence, shows that you're like willing, blah blah blah, which are like important qualities for like art directors, and reliable is an important one.
So you emailed all of these guys, you got one response. Right. Like one
No,
job.
no. I
Okay.
emailed a bunch and I got a few.
Wow. Okay.
Um, yeah. I was just saying AG because it's like, this is probably what people would know. But I did get a bunch of like indie uh studios that probably are not even like around. They were like no names,
Yeah.
basically, like startups.
And did you do
Most,
work for them,
yeah.
all of them? And then were you at that point, like, was your income part time? Was it full time? Like, what was
Um,
what were
at
where
that
were you at this point? So you sent those
at that
emails. You've got a few jobs.
okay, this part I'm not proud of. Do you know freelancer.com?
Uh, is it? Just explain it to me.
It's
It's
okay.
like
Okay.
Fiverr.
So
Like,
it's a horrible website. It's probably worse than Fiverr, especially at the time. It's a place where you like bid. Uh, Pretty much people are just bidding the lowest amount for the highest quality, and people post jobs. Then all the artists or whatever will like bid lowest prices, and you post like your portfolio, and the person who posted the job will pick whoever they want, honestly, pretty much.
mhm.
And then that's how you were getting work. For the longest time it was a combination of like indie card art, or companies like AEG on the smaller end, which then another company you will know is FFG,
Yep.
which is Fantasy Flight Games.
Mhm.
um, they stuck around for a while. I did some stuff for them, but I was always supplementing that with extra stuff. I was literally a workaholic, so I was full timing this,
Okay.
um,
Full timing
for
this in
like
terms of like, but you're
money and time.
okay. So
Like I was getting enough to sustain myself.
how did you advertise on Freelancer and get jobs through Freelancer?
Oh, you just uh, read what posts interest you, and then you leave a message. If I
Okay, so
remember
you
correctly,
were outreaching to people that
I've
directly for their
never
job.
Devin, let me tell you something. Regardless of like my connections and what I've accomplished,
Yeah.
I've only got like 2 or 3 jobs ever from friends. Like everything else was either me reaching out or I got reached out to. I was
I,
never the lucky guy. Like my story is not the lucky guy who gets like
that's why it's so
in.
important. Yeah, so everything that we're talking about right now already is like so valuable because the con and we'll maybe it'll come together when we sum it up like later. I'm taking a lot of notes, but the idea I had no idea even going into this. Like, your story could have been just like, yeah, like I drew some furry porn and then I got hit up for Magic the Gathering and now I'm famous. You know, I
I
didn't
didn't
know
know.
that.
I would have done
Yeah,
that if I knew.
like the fact that your history is this way is really really encouraging for everyone that's going to listen to this or is listening to this that's an artist because this is exactly you didn't get here by accident. Everything you did was really purposeful.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, well, I think so.
Yeah.
I've never like I'm very what do you call is
Intentional.
thematic? No, intentional. Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So you actually started to make money full time on Freelancer. Basically, this was enough
On
to have a full
Freelancer
time job.
and supplemented with companies like AEG and
Hmm.
FFG, right? So I was working a lot. I wasn't making it a lot. I can tell you how much they were paying because the NDAs are already canceled,
Hmm.
and it was a long time ago. But it was just enough. It was just enough, you know. And then I will say that the the freelancer one, there's one good thing about it because you do a lot of odd jobs because people just see, oh, you do art, so you must be able to do like graphic design, you must be able to animate, which is bullshit. You don't. Just because you draw doesn't mean you can do like all these other things. But I always faked my I was like, I literally took every job that I knew I couldn't do, and I just did it. That's probably a bad advice, but it worked out for me. uh, I was just like, oh, uh, I'm totally not qualified for this. Bam,
Mm.
let's try to get the job. And if I got the job, I would figure it out. You know, I would spend a lot of time figuring it out. So I did a lot of odd jobs, like a lot. Pixel art.
Did you ever meet
Uh,
anything that you weren't able to do as a result of that?
I hate graphic design.
No, what I'm saying is like, did you ever fail a job because you took that initiative?
A couple, but not many.
Hmm.
Even though I was applying for jobs I didn't know, I was still within the realm of like if it was within my imagination, I'm like I could see myself being able to do this, so I did it. But yeah, it did happen, obviously.
Okay, so like something like pixel art, for example, which you hadn't done before, they might give you a job for that, and you just give it a shot.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they don't know better,
right.
right?
And,
They
but
just
you
see
didn't do
that
something
you
like
are.
CAD design, like build me a tank in 3D.
No, I
Yeah,
did
yeah,
not.
okay,
I did
yeah.
not do 3D. No.
Okay. Okay, so at this point you're working on Freelancer and you also are getting supplemental income from studios. And where do you go from here?
So let me think. So I started moving away from Freelancer because it's literally like I want to call it slave work, but I don't know if there's even TOS. But
You can say most things on this platform and it's not, you always do this. Because I watch your streams and you're like, I
yeah.
can't say that because
Wait,
it's
you watch my
TOS.
streams? Oh my
Yeah,
god,
of course I watch your streams. I like,
how much your streams?
thank you. That's amazing. Nobody
Oh my
watches
god.
my stream. I was like,
Oh,
so
that's a.
it's only you. You're the only one.
I'm the only
Just,
viewer.
it's one
These are
John
all my
Silva.
bots. Yeah. So from there,
Okay,
I
from there.
started
Yeah.
applying more for like companies like Kickstarter or I don't even know if I should call them companies, just people that were like um doing their Kickstarter that needed artists. Like once their Kickstarter like goes off, they got the money, so they start hiring people,
How did you
right?
find
So I
these?
would chase those
Yeah.
at kickstarter.com
So
and
you
look for
okay, hold
projects.
on. No, see, this is the thing. You might not
Google.
think that this is important, but it is important, right? The process to you might feel natural, to many creatives it will not. So you went to kickstarter.com, you looked at projects, you contacted
Yeah,
the creators of those projects and said, I can do art for you.
yeah.
Okay,
And I send them my portfolio.
I want you to understand that the amount of effort that and intent that you have put into doing this job is like 7 billion times what most people do.
Okay.
The-
I
the-
did
the-
I did know my like some friends who were doing
yeah.
like the same. We had like a group pretty much going on, and we would all like I'd say this was an important thing. Like we learned a lot from each other's experiences and um failures, right? And then we would just tell each other what to do and what not to do, or what worked for one and work for another, and it was just like share an experience in like a closed group.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it seems strange to me that out of all the things you could have done, you went to Kickstarter. Was that because you got like a
Oh,
tip or something or
dude. Uh, I did everything. It's like what I'm picking and choosing, but you can. I literally, if I saw an opportunity to get a job that looked somewhat something that either A I could do or B I've already done and I can show them, I was there. Like
okay.
it didn't matter what it was Kickstarter. It didn't matter if it was like DeviantArt. I was just going everywhere.
And
I didn't care.
was this
Yeah.
because you were just trying to diversify your portfolio to the extent that you could
No, I was underpaid, so I needed more work.
okay. Mhm. And
Yeah, that's
and
pretty much it.
and where did you so during the time that you're building your portfolio and you're showing people your portfolio, where are you hosting this? What does it look like?
Um, at the time, so there was a couple of first was DeviantArt. Everyone at that time was there. And it doesn't matter who, as long as you drew, you were in DeviantArt.
Mhm.
And then I moved from DeviantArt to a website called CG Hub. Oh, actually, no. Remember, I said DeviantArt. Then there was this other, the forum, which was conceptart.org, which they would post jobs as well. But I never really got much from that. And then from there, I went to another website called CG Hub, which is dead right now. And there, do you know the website ArtStation?
No, but I'm writing it down.
Okay, then you should check it out.
Okay.
That's the current like professional hub when it comes to just getting on honestly
R
anything at this point.
Station?
Art Station.
Art Station.
ArtStation.
You got a bit of a accent. So, and
Wait, really?
I'm K Kona. So yeah,
I could
ArtStation.
don't like that. Okay, do you understand me now?
Please
Okay,
don't.
let's go
Yeah.
further.
R
All right.
Station. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
All
I
right.
went to art station D.
Okay. So you went to Art State. Can I find you on here still to this day?
Yes, you can. Just
John
John Silva.
Silva. Should have
Yes.
asked
Uh,
if there's hentai first, but
there's no naked titties or anything. It's fine.
oh, this is like actually a portfolio of your work.
Yeah. Art station is used as a
Awesome.
portfolio. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's really outdated, but it still contains most of the work that I'm okay showing. So out of the hundreds of paintings I, you know, done. Oh, hold on. I'm getting interrupted
Crazy.
because I got rated. Yeah, out of the like images, hundreds of images that I made, I uploaded the ones that I'm like okay with showing, and
Mhm.
even then, that's like outdated. And also, those images are gonna be like more polished than anything that I have on Twitter, just because I spent more time on them.
So you would so walk me through like how you would introduce yourself in an email.
It depends for who as well. Like companies that are a bit more like indie companies, I'd be more lax. So I would be like, hey, like I would literally type, hey, um, like my name is, John Silva. I wouldn't say from where I'm from because every time I did, they underpaid me. Because the moment I would say like I'm Portuguese, they're like, oh, Portuguese people, they paid less, third world country, blah blah blah. Let's use that so that we can like spend less money on them. So like
Mhm.
I would avoid where I'm from as hard as possible
Okay.
until I got the contract. Once I got the contract, I'm like, yeah, I'm Portuguese. They're like, they can't do shit because yeah.
That's
Anyways,
amazing.
and I would keep it very, very brief. As brief, like if you can just read it in like a second or less, and there's my link, they have to click once. That was really important to me. So it's like, hey, I'm John Silva, a professional. Even if I wasn't, I was still saying it.
Yeah.
I'm a professional illustrator, whatever the job position was. I find you here. Here's my portfolio. I'm interested. They click the link. Everything is already there. They don't have to do anything, and it
The
would
link
open up
brings
my
them to this. The artstation.com
link.
slash John Silva.
Yeah,
Okay.
or if it was in the past, then it would be some other website that I just told you. But if we're talking about like currently, then it would have been that.
How
The
did
thing
you
is that
qualify
yeah, go ahead.
yourself as a
In what way?
professional?
What do you mean?
Was it literally your
Uh,
portfolio just carried you?
yeah, my portfolio carried me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Once the companies, so basically you could be a no one as long as you're good, they hire you. That's the one misunderstanding that people still don't seem to like get. Yeah, sometimes you can be unlucky and like the position is just full and you can't do anything about that no matter how
Mhm.
good you are. But um if you are good enough and you match what they want, which I know it sounds weird because you can't read minds because they're working on NDAs. But I guess it's a bit of like if you have a variety in your portfolio, which was my approach, and the quality within that variety was stable. So like from image to image, they had about like the same quality,
Yeah, you're
right?
consistent.
Consistent.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the word.
Okay.
Um,
I
then
see there's a resume here as well.
yeah,
Okay. Is it true that you worked on Diablo Immortal?
yes.
Okay,
In fact,
I
I
gotta go,
directed a little
John.
bit.
It was appreciate the conversation, man. But that's gonna be it
I
for me.
knew it. I knew it.
Okay.
I knew it.
Okay,
I knew
yeah, that's
yeah.
you
I
worked on Vermintide though, which is an awesome game. Vermintide's
true.
super cool.
I worked
Yeah,
on
makes up for
a
it.
lot of cool games.
Mhm.
Um,
So
you blew it. Okay,
they so yeah, I don't know if I'd put that on your resume, man. Especially like right at the top there.
dude.
I don't know. No,
I,
it's probably a huge
I was
deal.
thinking of taking the immoral out of it. Just say Diablo, and then if
Yeah,
they ask, like, I worked on Diablo.
I actually think you should do that.
Oh, I don't care anymore.
You have a
Oh,
you have a
yeah, go ahead.
really good habits. What's so interesting about you is you've developed so many good habits that I don't even think that you're necessarily like, these are things that would take me like a really long time to train people in doing in like consulting that you do automatically. So for example, if I'm going to come to somebody and I'm going to email them, right? I'm going to be like, hi, I'm Devin Nash. I'm a professional analytics person for Twitch or whatever the job is. I'm going to be like, this is what I do professionally. And I'm going to like leave it there, right? I'm not going to be like, hi, I draw art. No, I'm like the difference between professional illustrator, right? And so the biggest problem that I have run into when I'm consulting creatives is they don't think big enough about themselves. They would say, I would never list myself as a professional illustrator because I'm not good enough to do that. Even if their art is amazing.
I faked it so much. I didn't think I was good enough at all. But I was like, my desperation led me into like good habits, I guess.
Yeah,
I was just like,
I can tell you still have, it's like called like the artist dilemma, because I see you drawing stuff on your stream and you're like, yeah, it's okay. This is kind of not really great work. Or it's like this giant dragon and it's like this like, it's just like shit everywhere.
Devin,
and
you haven't been watching my streams lately. Shroud followed me, so I'm
I know Shroud followed you. I know you did your video. I know you're drawing for the DMV commit. I have been watching your streams lately. Okay, I know everything about it. Yes,
dude, I'm literally the greatest artist like ever created. It's great.
Oh, okay, so you're over it now. Now you're okay.
No.
Well,
dude,
I'm glad I could fit into your schedule.
Yeah, honestly.
How did you get a gold watch?
It's not gold. It's actually black.
Oh, okay.
It is the light reflection.
Yes.
Probably. I could have painted it, but anyways, sorry, we're derailing. I love talking to you. This is cool.
Yeah, derails are fine. I don't mind. Yeah, it's totally okay. It's all good. That's why we're here. Got all the time in the world, man.
Hell yeah.
Nothing going on of significance.
Yes.
Right now.
Oh yeah, I'm just chilling. You know? But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I am aware of that, right? No, I do get that. But I think that it is really important to talk about that. I'll call it the artist like dilemma. The artist, it's not really even a dilemma, it's like a mindset that like, and to some extent, this is sort of the plight of all creators, but that people that are actually good at their craft feel bad about it. They don't feel like they're good. And so that is what drives them to improve. It's a double-edged sword in that sense.
Yeah. No, you are right, because like what I have learned, and this is, I guess, artists listening can note, there's a difference between your personal perception on how good you are, like the tippy top of like what you envision your art to be, and then there's other people. Other people are not going to see like the mistakes that you're seeing. Other people aren't going to see like, I don't know, whatever it's going on in your brain. They're not seeing that. That's a you thing, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
It's that, and I think I'm gonna like draw an analogy here, right? If you are sufficiently practiced in something, to a person who does not do that thing, you will appear as a sorcerer. And so the example I will utilize, right? I am not a very good dancer, but to most people on this platform that have seen my YouTube videos and seen me dance, they're like, that dude is an insane dancer.
Yeah.
Now it's because I know what I don't know, right? Like there are a ton of people who dance better than me, that do crazy choreography, are way better in freestyle or everything. I've just, I've done a few years of it and I've practiced it. But I was able to enter competitions by saying I was a professional dancer. And people were like, yeah, sure. Okay. But I skipped that because I was able, that's how I started competing in dancing. Was I like, people were like, so are you like are you like, yeah, I'm qualified. Yeah, I'm a professional dancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Exactly.
And there were and I won some competitions that I ended up getting into, even though like there are people that have been dancing like all their life that are way better than me. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
it's that thing where it's like, what John said is so true. You may have this perception of your art or of your music or what you're creating, like this isn't that good. There are way better people out there. And that might be correct. But to a normal person, to a person who is not viewing it through that lens, they do not see that. They will see you as a professional if you act like one.
True.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're literally drawing like a stick with like a smiley face that's like that, but like the vast majority of creatives that I've run into are talented and practiced. And I would say like the number of times that I've run into someone where actually zero. Yeah, I don't think I've ever run into someone, pulled up their portfolio, and I talked to a lot of creatives that are like, here's my music, here's my art. What do you like? I can't get any jobs. It's not because of their work. Their work is almost always talented or almost always capable of getting work. It's because they don't have the confidence in themselves to reach out like you do.
Also, like that is a symptom of like not that makes you not be visible overall. Like people don't know who you are. Like how are you going to get jobs if they don't know you exist? Right? You could be the
Yeah.
greatest painter in the world, but if you're in your basement, like no one knows.
There's a really incredible book on this called this is a good book for creatives. It's called Show Your Work. It's #1 in graphics arts. 10 Ways to Share Your Creativity and Get Discovered by Austin Kleon. I read this book and it was really good. It's called Show Your Work, and it's basically a primer on if you are a professional or independent of any kind, you have to get yourself into the mindset of showing the work that you do as much as possible, tweeting it, putting it on Instagram. I have a bunch of show notes we can talk about later about kind of like how to actionably do a lot of that stuff and like where to put some of the stuff that I think will increase visibility. But the most important thing is to get into that mindset that you weren't afraid to reach out to specific companies. And I think another really important note that might have gotten missed, so I want to just like make sure that we hit on it. You identified from a very early point that you were going to be with a niche audience. You mentioned that you were going to do card art, which is very specific. So if there's a huge difference of reaching out to like any old like person who needs art done. It's like, hi, I'm a dude that does art versus, hi, I'm a card designer. I've done other cards like this. I'm applying for a card designing position. You immediately cut your potential competition for that by a tenth, right? And you might send a totally separate email to someone that says, "Hi, I'm a professional dragon illustrator. Here's my dragons that I've done, and you need a dragon done for your game." And then they go, "Oh, well, okay. Who am I going to hire? Am I going to hire the 90 artists that sent me a message that are like, "Hi, I'm a random artist"? Am I going to hire the guy that says, "Hi, I do fantasy art"? That's better, right? "Hi,
Yeah.
I do dragon art." "Oh, I need a dragon done. You're a dragon artist." Right? That's the more niche you can go in your, and this is why like John building such a diverse portfolio is like so productive. Like when I look at your ArtStation, I see everything from like Final Fantasy to like medieval like heroes to giant monsters to like gates, cyberpunk stuff. Like you have a huge variation of things that define you.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then again, like the other side of the coin is that like I have friends who do like a very particular thing and they're very like successful at
Yeah.
it. Like only doing that one thing, like you said, like I'm the dragon guy, so I have only dragons, right? That can equally
They can
be
limit
just
you.
as good. No, that can limit you, but I have to say that it can be just as good as long as you kind of like pick the right thing. If it's something that like rarely exists or not many people want, then sure. But like let's say that you are like a character designer, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's still a little bit broad, but you slimmed it down to like one type of thing. I only do characters, nothing else, right? Now let's split that again and say, okay, I only do sci-fi characters, right? So you want to slim it down if you're gonna like be what do you call it? Like it's just if you're just gonna do that one thing, then try to slim it down to a point where it's still like broad enough. I wouldn't recommend saying just I'm just a dragon guy. I would say like I'm a
Fantasy
monster.
artist who does, yeah. And so what I'm talking about is the pitch itself. So I'm talking
Mhm.
about the email you send to somebody, not the actual artist that you are. You may be a very diverse artist, but the email you would send to
Oh, the
somebody
actual
who
pitch.
wants
Yeah,
boss monsters done, you're going to be like,
yeah,
"Hey, I am a fantasy artist who
yeah,
specializes or has worked on many different variations of boss monsters before.
yeah,
Here are some
yeah,
examples," right? And to
yeah.
the extent that you can specify that, um, as a person who hires a lot of people, right? I'm pretty much always hiring. I'm hiring 2 jobs right now. I've been hiring for the past 4 months. I can tell you that the vast majority of the applications that I receive are blanket templates. They are a blanket resume that gets shot out. That is just a general description of what they do. I pay attention, and I know that other employers that I know pay attention to individuality to a huge degree. If you take the time to write me a specific thing about what you do, even if it's a sentence, that like
Yeah.
the amount that propels you above other applicants cannot be understated. Cannot be overstated.
Right.
Overstated. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. For the record, I hire a lot of people too. So that's, I mean, currently, I already know what I know, right? But growing up, as an artist, was kind of like, I was just trying different things when like reaching out. I will still say that it is like while saying that you're like a dragon artist, I think you should maybe like take a step back and only state your, from this is just from experience, state your category instead of like a particular, like you said, like I do, boss.
Fantasy or boss or like I think I'm a
Usually,
I think
yeah.
if you're going to contact a Kickstarter that's making like an RPG and you say I'm a fantasy
Oh, then,
artist, that probably
well, then
yeah.
in that case, you just instead of like you cut down the fat, you just say, hey, I saw you do this. I want to, I can help you with that particular thing. You
Yeah.
just name it right away. If it's like on a smaller scale, like a Kickstarter, then you go like, oh, I saw your Kickstarter for this. And then, this is the type of work that you're going to need. I can help you with that thing, Oh, you're going to need characters. I can help you with like, those characters. But I would avoid, I will say that I would avoid like, like like that can actually, if you're gonna go very particular and you say like I'm a dragon guy, that can definitely nail you a job. But what if they don't have a dragon? You need to know what they have, um to book basically, and you can't know unless you're inside. They may look like they have dragons, let's say, like a Kickstarter that has dragons. I'd still probably would not say like, hey, let's do dragons for you. I would call it monsters.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Right?
There's
A step behind, like
the,
the step back.
the joke in your chat. Hi, I've noticed that you make a game about chickens. Lucky for you, I've been drawing chickens for 16 hours a day for the past 2 years. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's good. So after now you're at the point, let's say in the sort of the chronology, you have now moved off of Freelancer and you've moved into Kickstarter. And I assume just kind of like you said you kind of labeled that one, but you worked at several other places during this time.
I mean,
yeah.
I moved out of Freelancer and I mixed Kickstarter with like companies like AG and FFG. It was all at the same time. I would not work for one person only at a time.
It's important for me to understand how you and for everyone to understand how you transitioned from part-time to full-time income and what the process of that was.
There was no part-time ever.
What does that mean?
I went straight into full-time.
Okay, I mean full-time income. So like you might have been living in a box, but like
yeah, pretty much.
You were living in a box.
No.
Okay.
Okay, because I skipped a part. I was living at home for a year. I had a year to get good, right? So I had support.
Okay.
And then I moved out after that, and I had pretty much just went from part-time to full-time. There was like the part-time that you're considering, I wasn't getting, like, part-time for me includes payment, right? Let me rephrase. So I had a year. I don't know if you heard this part. I don't know if my internet cut off. I had a year to pretty much get good and then move out. I'm not going to go into details because it's like very personal and it's a sad story, but we're going to skip it.
Doesn't matter. The only thing I'm looking for is the value that provides to other people, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had a time limit, right? Which was a year, right? And then from that point on, not to get into details, it's just like traveling around in like places. For example, I'm currently in Poland. Poland is cheap, and I get paid in US dollars.
That's
So
cool.
right, so I was going to countries where I can sustain a living by using US dollars, because then I can afford like an apartment, right?
Yeah, sure, makes sense.
Yeah. So the part time that we were talking about, that I'm saying that it didn't exist because I went full time straight ahead. So let's say I applied to like 20 companies, I got like 5 answers, maybe 7 or whatever, and then from that moment on, I would never stop either working with the same people because they would have reoccurring projects, so they would always like contact me on an like a just I would work every month for about the same people. So I never had a part-time. It was always full-time for several because I was a freelancer, right?
Sure,
Um,
but what I guess what I'm confused on is like what does that? Where is that in terms of income?
what do you mean?
Uh,
I get paid for the job I do?
okay, so you're saying it was never part time; it was always full time. I understand that from a time perspective, but what I'm saying
Hmm.
is from an income perspective. At what point were you sustainable?
From the first year. So I got no income for
Mhm.
a year, and then from the first year, I was making like 900 to $1,200, which is like livable if you go into like countries that the coin is like cheap, so to speak. Does that make sense? You
You're
look so confused. I feel so bad.
you're saying from a year from the time you started, you were at the
Yes.
point where you had enough money in the
Yes.
countries you lived in to afford your lifestyle.
Yes.
We did it.
Yes.
We did
That's
it.
correct.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm
And
so sorry. I feel
it's
so
okay.
bad.
It's okay. It's fine. And you did that from a combination of studio work.
I was not in the studio work. No. Oh,
Okay.
hello. Oh,
Yes.
so, for
Hello.
a second, I thought my internet
Also, sorry. One sec.
died again.
Um,
Yeah. Go ahead. It's all good.
I'm getting messages from Twitch.
Yep.
Like all the time.
It's all good. Take your time. Let me
This should be
check
good.
your chat.
We're good. Okay.
All right.
I can answer it later. Um, what?
Devin confused by leaving off 1,200.
No, I
Yeah.
understand it conceptually. He's just not. He's like, I never was. I part time, full time, and I'm like, okay, time, income, like, yeah, we're losing our measurement system. I
Okay.
get it now. It's so it's important because here can I just contextualize it and why it matters?
Yeah.
There are
Go
probably
ahead.
a lot of artists out there right now that are getting an odd job every once in a while, getting paid for their work here and there, $50, $100, whatever, right? They aren't making full-time income. They want to. So there's sort of a, if you imagine like a staircase, right? There's like these little stairs. It's like, oh, I got like one step up is like I got paid for my work. I never have been paid before.
Yeah.
I got paid for my work. Somebody gave me $10
Yeah.
or $60 or $100. I got paid for my work. Another
Yeah.
giant step up is like I'm getting regularly paid for my work and I'm taking commissions. Another giant step up from that, which I think is like a place where a lot of artists and creative people get stuck, is I want to get paid and I want to make a living off of this.
Mm-hmm.
So what the reason I'm trying to focus on that step. I'm trying to say, what do
Yeah.
you think the deciding factor is that takes a creative person from the level of I was just getting paid for part-time gigs to I am now getting paid full-time? And what are some of the things that people can do to make sure that that happens for them?
The thing about art is that if you're good, you always have jobs. That's the step one. The step two is people need to know you exist, which we talked about like early on. As far as like getting work is really brainless. If you like, as far as studio work is really brainless. If you want to work for someone, step one, be good. Step two, um, like be visible, which that can mean a million things. We just talked about them, like emailing them.
But
By them, I mean people.
that is
I
not
don't know,
obvious to
social
people.
media.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that is obvious to you. I know. Okay. That is obvious to you. in that you went out and you emailed people specifically. I am telling you, you are the first person I have ever run into that has actively done that professionally. And if you don't believe me, I'm sure chat will confirm. How often do you hear of a creative in music or in art or in design actively going out and pitching people? It's really common in art. No, it isn't. That is just straight up not true. What happens in art is that people are very self-conscious about their work and they do not think that it is of professional quality, and thus they do not reach out to people, or they do think and this is not just a lesson for creatives and artists. This is a lesson for every independent entrepreneur or person that is solving that is has a product or a service. It is very uncommon for somebody to send a targeted email to somebody that specifies what they do and then to ask that person for work. They often have a lot of mental or psychological or barriers to doing so. For John, this is obvious, but John seems to have done it from a point of pure just exasperation and desperation to become full time. For most
Yeah.
people, I think they have a lot of mental barriers to doing that.
That might be I mean, the vast majority, yes. I think the reason why I'm so like surprised by you saying that is that like art communities are extremely small, and if you're in the art community, the word spreads around. So there were definitely other people doing what I was doing. The thing is that no one taught me, and then I found out that people do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think within circles, aka like just art community, which again is tiny, um, by comparison to like the large world, then people definitely do what I was doing. Maybe not so much spamming everyone and everything, because then I do know friends that got um disappointed, or maybe like they just fell down the road thinking they're not good enough, like you were saying. That definitely has happened, where they
Mm-hmm.
like stopped even trying, and they're like, why is it not working? They start comparing their work to other people's works. It's like, why did that guy get a job but I didn't? So when you reach that point where you have the same skill level as someone and you're applying to the same thing, the one thing that will separate you, actually there's two things. The number one uh, could be the content of your portfolio. um, so like, does that match more with the studio or indie studio, whoever it is that you're playing? Does that match more with them than the other person applying, or less? And the closer you get, which is a bit of a guessing game, uh, as far as like content in your portfolio, then the higher chances of you getting hired are going to increase, because you're technically doing what they already need. They just need to give you the job,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you can never know that unless you have either A, insider information, or B, I guess kind of lucky, or you just observe where the path of um, where a product is going. For example, magic, we
Mm-hmm.
can jump slightly into it. Um, like in my case, I went from doing like small, well, I would say small studios like FFG, uh, for example, to magic was like what was a huge jump. There was like no in between, because a lot of people do climb the stairs,
Mm-hmm.
right? I guess I was just desperate enough and hit a level where I could already work for them, right? Um, if you're gonna go back to, what will make you get a job based on like my experience hiring as well, is definitely the content of your portfolio. And then when you go into an interview, it's no longer about your portfolio. It's, do I like to work with you? And like, do I have to explain you the same thing over and over and over and over again, or not? Like, if I can tell you one thing and you boom boom, like, just do it, then you're probably hired, and you're nice to work with because you already have the skills, right? Um, Now, if you're like sensitive, I fired so many people because they just could not take uh, like simple critiques, like, "Hey, can you move this thing?" Um, and then they move that thing, right? But they don't do it like properly, and then like if you keep messing up, then you're gonna get like fired, or maybe even like if that's a test. A lot of studios do tests,
What kind of
um,
tests?
art tests. So they're like, "Oh, we like your portfolio, and um, like everything seems okay about you. But if there's like uncertainties whether you can accomplish a certain task, they will give you an art test, which is like, okay, we're gonna give you an assignment, you're gonna do it, right? You're gonna follow whatever instructions. Every studio is a little different. We're gonna follow instructions, uh, do the assignment, and uh, once you go through it, you if you did a good job and you didn't like need many revisions, and uh, like this to me feels a bit like very obvious stuff, and I think for
It,
maybe artists it is obvious.
yeah, so the thing to remember here is we're talking to a very wide audience. There are going to be people here who completely understand everything you're saying. There's also going to be people here who have no idea how to apply to a studio or what that entails.
Okay.
It's a very vast audience of people who will be listening to this right now and also in the future. So I am trying to cover what may be to you very simple concepts that to
Hmm.
other people will not be obvious and may be like the key of the next step of their journey.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the next step is like either a get an art test from someone. Like I mentioned, the only thing that will get you hired, if you're already good, the only thing that could stop you from getting hired is the content of your portfolio.
Mhm.
And that could mean literally anything. It depends on if you draw My Little Pony fucking like images and you're trying to apply for Magic the Gathering, even if you draw really fucking good ponies, then you're still not gonna get the job,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Mhm.
But even if you do fantasy art and in the similar style of Magic, you could still not get the work because the current project that they're in, for example, um I got the job, I think, yeah, it was like Egyptian theme. I forgot what was the name of the set of cards, but I had like Egyptian themed uh like characters and like paintings when I applied for them. I had no idea they were working on that. Yeah.
So how do we so just be good forehead and have the right stuff in your portfolio is not really productive for people, right? Like I understand it conceptually. How do we
Mhm.
sort of like distill that down into something that people can use?
Draw every day, draw every day, and have a
Oh, that's
variety of
fine. Yeah,
portfolio.
that's fine. That's fine. Like that's a good angle.
Okay.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you should
Like
be drawing every day anyways.
okay, like again, like a lot of people might not know that. Like I understand. I think the problem here is like I have dealt with Twitch chat for so long that's like and coming from a person that coaches people inadvertently, even though this is not even my main thing that I do on like how to grow brands and like how to like I could tell you a person comes in and is like, hi, how to get viewer. And I'm like, oh man, what do you mean? And they're like, I need viewer. I need OBS. Like they don't understand like the very basic thing. Did we lose him? He froze. Or he's like, yeah, we did.
Yeah, good.
Something like drawing every day might not be obvious. I know that sounds really crazy. But it's like, so also there's something that we could talk about, which is like there's a difference between deliberate practice and drawing, right?
Yeah.
And maybe the corollary that I would use for this is oftentimes I've run into a lot of people who have talked to me about becoming a pro player in a game. This is very common. People talk to me about this, and they'll say, "I play League of Legends 12 to 15 hours a day, and I'm not a pro. What's going on? This sucks." Right? And it's like, okay, There is a very clear difference in setting down to deliberately practice with the intent to improve,
Mhm.
versus versus just playing for the sake of it. Let's talk about that. How much of
Okay.
your time when you were growing as an artist did you spend in deliberate practice? Did you spend actively in trying to improve your work consciously?
Yeah. Um, I'd say in the beginning I didn't know because I was doing the 16-hour thing, but I think my brain was turning off after like 6 hours of like deliberate practice, and like I know what I'm like doing. I'm thinking about this thing that I'm drawing in front of me. Like after that, like your, or at least my brain was turning off, but I was still going at it. Um, Over the course of time, I learned that um, very, very focused uh, practices, even if they're shorter, are way more important than uh, going for 16 hours and you're watching a movie and you're talking to your friend. You have fucking six cameras, six consoles,
There it is.
cables everywhere. Like that's not really gonna go anywhere,
Yeah.
right? You're just
There's a
yeah.
corollary to this in streaming is that there a lot of people don't know this. There's a deliberate way to practice streaming. No meme, right? The way you do it is you go back through your own VODs, you pay
Oh god.
complete attention to right? Oh god. Okay,
Ugh.
so I'm going to tell you a story, okay?
Ugh.
Back in the day when I was a Wii streamer, right? I could not go through my VODs. I would be like, how the hell would I go back through those? I would hate to do it because I would think, why would anyone want to watch me stream? And then I realized, I was like, wait a minute, if I don't want to watch my VODs, why would anyone else want to watch them? So what I started doing was I went back through my VODs and I consciously improved on them until I got to the point where I was okay watching them. And I thought this was good content. And I've done that over and over again. And I will still at least, I'd say 3 times a week. I will sit down. I will take a deliberate practice session. I will go through my VODs. I also have I have this thing. It's a stream deck. I don't know if you can see it. You can't. It's underneath the monitor.
Now I know what the stream deck
It's
is.
this
So
thing. And I can
yeah.
press a button on here that highlights a point in time. If I think that I had a joke that landed really well, or I say something like I blow out a viewer in chat and tell him that he's going to drive a forklift for the rest of his life and he has no shot, and I didn't feel very good about doing that, I will stream highlight that, and then I will go back through my VOD and I will go look at
Oh,
every instance of that and I will see how I could improve it. Right?
okay. Yeah,
And
makes sense.
in doing so, I think that has made me a significantly better entertainer. That's what I mean by deliberate practice. So deliberate practice
Damn.
in art is the or music or anything is the process of actively improving your craft. And I can't tell you how many people just expect to get better broadcasting, for example, or creating content as a result of doing it.
Yeah, you can't do just. I mean, you can, but it's better if you try to improve on it. But again, I was just about to say obviously, but maybe it's not obvious.
Yeah,
You know, I
obviously.
I
Oh. Mm.
yes, my ego is very high
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah,
Right,
like maybe
with
you
my two.
don't get to draw this awesome giant dragon without like really practicing how to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
without practicing lizards.
without practicing lizards. Yes.
Yeah. Um, so deliberate practice, like I was doing no. Okay, do you want okay the cheat sheet kind of thing that I was doing that worked amazingly for me, but it could be different for everyone. So this is a quick PSA. But what really made me go from like 0 to I don't know 30-40%, which was already enough to go full time, um, was I would wake up. Good job, you did that. Then sometimes I wouldn't have breakfast. I would just start painting immediately. But I would have no music. I would have literally zero distractions. It's just me and like the painting or whatever it is that I set myself to do that day. Um, Now, what really worked for me was I would draw from imagination without no references. So I would think of what do I want to draw today? I would think about that thing. I would draw it until I'm like, fuck, I cannot improve this in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
Right. And then when I hit that wall, I closed everything, grabbed references, then studied them. So the study, like I mentioned earlier on, is you take the references, you draw to them, right, while analyzing what you're doing. So I wasn't shutting off my brain. I'm like, oh, this line goes over this area or above the eye, and the eye like turns around this way. Like I'm thinking about what I'm doing,
Hmm.
right? Um, I'm not just like empty in my head and copying, because copying is different than dissecting the thing you're looking at, right? So I would do studies that related to the thing that I'm painting, and I would do a study for everything that was included in my painting. So if I had like a guy riding a dragon,
Hmm.
like a knight riding a dragon, and they're like in this field, and there's like a castle in the back, like very fantasy type of setting, I would have a reference for every single element in the painting, which oftentimes like stacked up to like 20, sometimes even, you know, 30 images that I would just like study to, that then I would apply that knowledge back into the painting. So it oftentimes meant like I would redraw the same thing, because I have all these new knowledge that I didn't had before, and I would apply the studies into the painting, right? And I
Okay.
would do that like over and over and over and over and over again every day.
So holy shit. Now we're getting into like, yeah. So like, I hope that
That's my part.
people that are like the last 5 minutes of that explanation, people are listening, because this is what creates a top tier artist. What like I want you to be very, I want to be very crystal clear, because John won't say it himself. Nothing he's done is an accident. He is this good because he worked at it. He earned it. And you can be too. Right? That is so you
Shroud can also follow you, follow your dreams.
what is your take on artists and creatives and people in the sort of the independent category who begin to monetize via their communities? So you have kind of recently been making a transition into becoming earning more income off of broadcasting, um, and off of and I think this is like really interesting, and I think this is another vertical that people can pursue, right? So up until now we've just been talking about like this is how to get work with studios, this is how to get work with like individuals or maybe on Kickstarter or something like that. But you've done an interesting thing pretty recently, and that you've been actually finding another vertical for monetization, which is streaming, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Um I started streaming actually for I pretty much grew up streaming. Uh so it started on livestream.com.
Okay.
Yes. So it's an old ass fucking website, livestream.com. I think you can still find some videos of mine. I don't have camera or anything, but you can
Hmm.
probably find something really, really old. Um, no one was streaming art at that time besides a group of us. So there was like a small group of us that would just kind of like hang out on each other's stream, because we were all lonely because we're constantly drawing. So we might as well draw with people, right?
Okay.
Um,
Makes sense. Yeah.
so it began from that, and then when I got more and more busy, I'm like, oh, it's kind of distracting me, so I have to stop streaming. But I always enjoyed the company of others while I draw, and like chat and or be at the time with Skype, uh, be in Skype and talk and whatnot. Then years later, huge time skip, right? Let's say 7 years later, right?
Mhm.
Uh, I'm like, oh, Twitch, Twitch exists, and it's not just for games anymore, right? Actually, I got a tip from a friend um, who said, "Oh, you can try Twitch instead of live stream, because live stream was like dying,
Hmm.
and there was like a bunch of problems with it as well. So we were all trying to find a different place to go to, and we knew about Twitch. Creative section wasn't even a thing yet. Now it's called art. Back then it was like creative. Um, and I did stream. It was like 2016, but it was very on and off thing. I don't think I was even listing myself into anything. It was very like just me and my friends
Hmm.
type of thing. Then um I'm like, oh shit, people stream games. That's pretty neat. Let me see what people do. And I got hooked up. I just got hooked up on watching streams. I would literally um my first favorite streamer was CDN the Third. Um and I love watching his like RP. Who was it? RP H1Z1, I think. It's like very early on. He had like barely 100 viewers or
Hmm.
something. But anyways, I'm like, oh my god, this is so entertaining, right? And I feel like I was influenced initially by that person because when I started streaming art, I'm like, art is kind of art is kind of boring. I want to I want to make jokes and have fun while I do art. So we're just like hanging out. So I feel like I took a little bit from that, and then I expanded. I started watching more streams because he was the only one I was watching. Um, and I'm like, oh, there's more people. Let's watch more people. So I kept clicking here and there, randomly finding people, and honestly, that's all I was doing was just watch Twitch, and I would stream like very rarely,
Hmm.
uh, even back then. And but when I would, it would be fine because um, I had a following on Facebook. It's important to mention that um, I already had a following, so that people I could bring over, right? So while I was growing, Facebook was a huge like deal at the time, especially for art. Like if you got like 1K likes back in the day,
That's insane.
um,
Yeah.
that is insane, and that's pretty much what me and my friends were like getting at the time. And then it died, and I moved to Twitter, and that was a whole different thing. But anyways, around that time, I'm like, I really like. I fell in love. I fell in love with streaming. It's like I was addicted. I am addicted. I just want to. Um, it at this point is not even just an art thing. It's like you gotta like streaming, in a combination with what you're doing, and it just so happens that I can do what I do due to the fact that I have a lot of experience while like kind of like shutting off my brain or half of my brain and stream and entertain. But I'm still doing this thing that people come for, that they like what they see,
Yeah.
right? So it was a huge practice, and it was really difficult to like read chat, keep up with chat, and draw at the same time, right?
Hmm.
Because you're technically doing equations on your head, right? You're thinking about the light and is it gonna hit in this particular area on the arm or not? But at the same time, I'm like, oh, what? I don't know, random fucking question. What's the color of your socks or some shit? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like separating the two.
this kind of goes back to deliberate practice, that like this may be a reason why you may not want to stream all of your work doing, right? Like, because you might know, if you're not as accomplished or far along as an artist like you may want to spend some time in deliberate practice without any kind of input.
I would stream parts.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be
Hmm.
my recommendation,
Yeah.
right? So you do stuff offline, go live, work a little bit on it while you practice whatever, I don't know, whatever the fuck you want to do on stream.
So,
I don't really, yeah, go ahead.
I want to talk about a concept. Have you ever heard a concept called 1,000 true fans?
No.
Okay. This is, I think this, for independent people, is the most important and I say like creatives or uh any kind of like creatives or any kind of people that are trying to make an independent living. This is probably the most important concept that they can learn in terms of marketing. So 1,000 true fans is if you have 1,000 people, okay, in your community total, and
Yeah.
they will pay you $100 a year. So every year they pay you a total of $100. That could be products, subscription. So it may seem like a lot, but think about it in terms of Twitch subscriptions, right? If
Mhm.
if all they do is subscribe to you, that's already $60, right? Because it's 5
Yeah.
times 12, and then from there you got to show up another 40. from each individual person. It's not that much when you consider it. Okay, Patreon is another way. There's a lot of different ways we can talk about it. $100 a year with 1,000 people is how much money?
I have no idea. I'm an artist. I don't do
It's
mathematics.
$100,000 a year, which is a
Okay.
pretty good living,
Uh-huh.
right? So
That's
the
very good.
the lesson here is that we often think that we need millions of people to be able to activate or create a brand, or like we need these like millions and millions of people to do this. But in fact,
Yeah.
you don't. You need a very small amount of people potentially
Right.
paying and supporting you. And
Right.
for this reason, once you understand this, you need to focus on capturing individual people who are going to support you, and then branching that out to the point where you are self-sustaining. And a lot of people don't need 100K, by the way. They might need 80 or 70 or 50, right? And now it's only 500 people or 600 people or whatever, right? Or
Yeah.
you can also do it where you have less people but more money, or slightly more people but less money, right? But this concept, this idea is that I think for independents and creatives, they shouldn't be trying to become like the number one streamer on Twitch or the number one artist on YouTube. They should be working on, maybe that's a goal for later, or like a stretch goal. You can start to like grow your subscriber base. You can grow more people. I saw on your screen when you were streaming, you have like what, like 400 subs or something like that?
I have
300.
560
Yeah.
right now.
So already
My
with
highest was like 800 or something.
so already with what you're, do you have a Patreon?
No,
Why not?
because it's like, okay, there's two reasons. The reason number one is just I don't see myself having like time for it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the second reason is just it felt like double dipping, which I know you're like,
Yep,
I get.
I'm gonna baby rage. Yeah. So I'll just skip the baby rage and say that for the vast majority of creators, if the thing that you have to consider is that the first point from John is valid, that he has decided to focus a lot on broadcasting. The broadcasting is working for him, in that he is monetizing via 500 subs, getting more viewers. He's doing collaborations in the community. He's doing a lot of the things that we talk about all the time on this channel, right? That are like becoming Arcadum's art director, doing art for me, of course, is what made him the most popular. Not Moon or Soda Pop or anything. None of that. It was me.
True.
Yes, it is well known that I create every large streamer on this platform. Just keep that in mind.
Very correct.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very correct.
Okay, as the number
I
one
stand
business and
with it.
industry person on Twitch, just
Absolutely.
yeah. So just had to, I know it's obvious, but yeah.
Okay,
there.
I need to say this.
Yeah.
If we're gonna shout out people, I talk about it all the time on stream, but the reason why I'm doing good now, it's because of Stir.
Really?
Basically, yes, Stir is the reason why. Like, I can't remember how we met, as in like we never physically met, but it was like I think I stopped by his stream,
Mhm.
and he's doing art or something. I honestly, it was so long ago. But anyways, the point is that he stopped by my stream when I had like 20 viewers, like max, or like 20, 30, whatever. And he's like, "Hey, I want to commission you for D&D."
Mhm.
I work with Wizards of the Coast, but I always was like, D&D paid less than Magic the Gathering, so I never worked on D&D. From a from monetary point of view, I'm just like, I'm just gonna do Magic instead of D&D. And he's like, "Oh, do D&D. Can you do like my D&D character, or like my D&D projects or whatever?" And then he would commission me, and he did like raid me a couple of times and whatnot, but just he pretty much was like around, and I'd say we became friends, and then I met Arcadum through him. I had no idea who Arcadum was at that time.
Mhm.
I think at this point I wasn't streaming full time. Yeah, it was very much of a part time thing, because I still had like a remote studio job on top of everything. And we played. I can't remember what we played, but I know at some point we played Anthem, Well, mega lol. Um, and that's when I knew Arcadum. And then Arcadum messaged me. He's like, "Oh, do you want to do like a Twitch like plays D&D, and like you're gonna have prompts and you'll draw whatever chat picks pretty much, and we make a character based on what chat uh, picks or votes for."
Mhm.
And that was the one time we streamed together. We never did it again, and basically from that point on, because of Stir's D&D and our in being exposed to Arcadum, people got to know my work, because then they would play, they would show the token, which is like, this is when you go into the game, you can see your art in the map tools, and they would always like either shout out or they're very good with their for their artists, so they always like shout out who drew the character or whatever. um so I slowly had like people trickling in because of that. um and very much like all of my experience getting into art, it went from like 0 to like 50. It was like a big explosion of like, suddenly people, like some people knew who I was, and they're like hyping me up, which was really weird, but I've come to accept that. And because of that, the hype created more hype, and I want to say it snowballed to the point where then I started making, like, as you know, like characters for everyone, pretty much, or anyone who's like streaming mostly,
Yeah.
and they want like, oh, my internet is good.
For a
Sorry,
moment, it was not.
it
Yeah.
froze.
But you came back
Okay,
rescued. That's cool. No,
TLDR, yeah,
yeah,
I pretty much did stuff.
that is cool. I've heard that Stir has actually helped out a lot of people and is a really good dude. Um, and
I don't
I
know
think
about that last part. I'm just kidding.
okay, I think that the okay, so this is gonna sound a little bit weird, but
Yeah.
your path in collaborating with Stir and Arcadum is actually not very productive for most people to follow. The reason is because most people are not going to get connected as an artist to like some D&D creator and then like get to be able to draw all of their characters, right?
Yeah.
That's more of like, so what I want to focus on is like sort of the deliberate action and like stuff that you did, because there's gonna be a big problem here. There are a lot of creative artists right now that might be putting 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours a day into streaming, and they're gonna get nowhere. They're
Yeah.
drawing their work. They're trying to build a portfolio, whatever, but they're expecting to get discovered through this platform, and it's not going to do it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Do
Right.
you have thoughts on that?
So I do.
Mhm.
I mean, if I knew what I know now, then I would have grown my Twitter instead of trying to do anything
100%.
else.
100%. I
That's
wrote
my
down, so I did some research on platforms for so I and a couple other people, we did a bunch of research over the last couple of days, knowing that this talk was going to happen, and we came up with the platforms for discovery in order for the places to be. I don't see if you agree with this. For people to find artists, is Pinterest is number one, Instagram is number two, Twitter is number three. That's what our research showed.
discover. Okay, you're not wrong. I'll pad
Okay.
my yeah.
hmm
Uh, you're not wrong. The problem that I've encountered in pretty much every single of my friends, like I have friends with like hundreds of thousands of like followers on Instagram,
Yeah.
and like I was getting more work or
Right.
more
Can I caveat this
recognition.
real quick? This is
Yes.
purely in terms of exposure and discoverability, not paid jobs. Meaning the most amount of people that will find your artwork. It is not like how much work and how much paid work you get. That's the caveat.
And then I will say that I don't know about Pinterest, but Instagram, the way I see it, it's like an island. You go into it, but you never get out of it. So what I mean by that is like you will be discovered, you
Mm-hmm.
will be liked within the app. But if you say you go live, sure, you will get people, like some people, um, from Instagram to Twitch, for
Mhm.
example, but like the percentage is so small in comparison to Twitter that almost feels like it's not worth it.
Tell me why
Only if
you
you have
like
like,
Twitter so much. That's really interesting. I
because
think you're educating me
I don't know
here.
what. Okay, because Twitter, I want to say this is all just me thinking to myself, but I want to say that it's because of the type of users of Twitter. Type of users on Twitter are more likely, from what I've observed, to click on things and explore. Like I think Twitter is a hub that like goes everywhere else. Um, honestly, I can't tell you exactly why, but I've experienced that. Like me and so many of my friends agree on this, that if you like 10K on Twitter, it feels like it's the equivalent of like 200, 300 K on Instagram.
Wow.
That's literally like, you say that you go live on Twitter and then you say that you go live on Instagram, and you do that like separately.
Mhm.
uh Twitter, as pretty much always, given more viewers, even though there's like less followers than Instagram. I don't know why Instagram people don't like to leave Instagram. Like they don't explore. I don't know if it's because of the platform. I don't know if it's because of the like the type of people that use Instagram. I honestly don't know, but that has been like a lot of our experience, pretty much.
Is it your if you are an artist, why not upload your stuff to Instagram, even if it's not going to be your primary platform?
Oh no, no, no.
You think you should,
But
but you don't think that
my
what you're
advice.
saying is you don't think you should build you should not expect a professional brand to come out of it, like a lot of work to come out of it, is what you're saying?
I
Because
don't expect people to like, if you definitely can do things on Instagram, but I feel like Twitter is more malleable, and people are more. Oh, remember what you told me just moments ago? You have like thousand like followers who are like really legit and will pay things for you,
yes,
like no matter what you do, right? I feel like Twitter has more that kind of people than
okay.
Instagram.
Um, I'm going to offer you like one thought on this. Okay,
Okay.
I think your experience of Twitter is valid. Um, I think that one way that people might be sleeping on Instagram is actually Instagram DMs, but via direct outreach to brands. So we have so in agencies we have a sales strategy, and one of the most effective ways that we reach out to people to get sales or to get results is Instagram is direct DM outreach. So in the same way that you emailed people,
Yeah.
you may be able to DM people from Instagram, and because your portfolio is right there, they can
Yeah.
check you out with one click, and you can get work from
Mhm.
that. And I am very convinced that this is an effective strategy for creatives to use to be able to get work. It's just that most people don't do that. Like no one does it.
I can think of someone who has done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then that means it works because if people aren't doing it, then it usually is a good thing. This is the same reason why I say like people that are creating work on like LinkedIn, for example, that that are people are sleeping on LinkedIn super hard, and everyone calls me an idiot
I
for it.
watched
Like,
I watched the stream on that.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody believes
I
me.
watched the whole thing. It was very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, nobody believes me, even though all of the empirical data points to it. And I'm just like an idiot right now. And then when LinkedIn is like like a huge thing, later on, like then everybody will be like, "God, Devin, you should have told me about LinkedIn." And I'll be like,
It's so
every time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like people just think that LinkedIn is like a boomer thing right now.
They
It's
did,
just
yeah.
people.
Like everyone think it's like, oh, Facebook is useless because Facebook is for old people, and I'm like, dude, there's 2 billion users. Like you just can't. Yeah, that's
Yeah. Oh, funny enough, I stopped posting on Facebook that I was going live, not because the platform was dying or
mhm.
it felt like it was dying. I hated the type of viewers that I had.
Really.
Yes, that's another thing I noticed. I like Twitter viewers. I love them. Like I'll kiss them
Are
in the
you
cheek. Like
getting so you say you tweet out your stream and these people that come, is that what you're
yes,
referring to? Okay. How
yes.
many impression or how many engagements do you get on those posts that you tweet
I
out?
don't look. I What do you mean? Just like likes?
No, they'll literally tell you how many people click your link to your stream.
I don't look at that. I just know that when I go live and I do it on Twitter, I'm telling you, it's like I don't know if it's a sixth fucking sense or literally like I can be streaming for 6 hours and not tweet that I'm live. I know who's gonna be there and like what type of people are gonna be there because it's gonna be Discord people. So it means like happy go lucky, everyone loves each other, we're a community type of thing. I go on Twitter, there's always some random funny motherfucker who's always like who's gonna be new, but it's like somehow gonna fit in and it's gonna be funny and whatnot. Like almost every single time, I'll feel
Do you get
the,
people that are like,
the
"Hi, I'm here from Twitter"?
no, no one says that.
How do you know they're there?
Because I go by chat. They chat to me. Like my chat. Okay, so my chat, I would consider my chat even at 50 viewers faster than like people at 200 in the art section.
Yeah.
So the moment I disabled view count, the reason why I cannot give you an answer is because I don't look at data.
Wait,
I go
that's
by chat.
looking at view count is bad. That's a good thing that you don't do that. I don't do that either. Right now, I have no idea how many viewers I have, and it is actually a bannable offense to tell me.
Yeah.
Because I will game myself, and like if I have like people can say like a random number like 90,000, or you have 3 viewers, whatever, like one that I know is not true. But like if I know right now that I have 200 viewers, I will game myself to oblivion and be like, my shit is dog shit. If I know right now that I have 4,000 viewers, I will also game myself the opposite way. So I believe in that, but I don't know why you wouldn't look at your Twitter analytics. That seems like
I don't like analytics. And here I am talking to you. Dude, okay. So
never talk to me or my daughter again.
Okay, wait. No, I don't like analytics. I like people who like analytics. You, right? You might not like to do art, but maybe you like someone who does art. Me, Smile. Maybe. But I take it in that way. I don't know. Like I just don't like to look at it. Maybe it's an insecurity thing. Maybe it's just like the gaming thing that you're just talking about.
I understand that I understand like getting a little bit of anxiety from like looking at certain data points because they can be good or bad, right? But for something like Twitter engagement, to know how many people come from your Twitter, for example, that seems like a pretty objectively good metric, for example.
I just never know. Like I just never noticed. Honestly, I never like.
Did you never just click the button that shows you that? Is that okay?
No,
okay, that's because like I think like man, when it comes to like a lot of stuff, followers per day, concurrent viewer count average, like Twitch does this really annoying thing where they'll send you a message and it will be like, it'll be like, good job today, Devin, 57% increase in subs. And they'll try to choose something. They'll be like a 10% increase in cheers, 57% increase in viewers, right? But if you have a stream where you didn't hit any of those metrics, it'll just send you a message and the title of the email will be like, good job, Devin. Keep at it. You're doing great. And I know I'm dog shit. And I'm like, ooh, like, right? Like, I don't look at the stats, but I know that fucking email said that. And I hate that. So I totally understand the perspective of like not looking at analytics from that. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think that looking at analytics from a day-to-day process is pretty much useless. Yeah.
I have a Twitter open. So I went live today. I was working on Silver's D&D character.
That's cool.
See.
Yeah.
View tweet activity. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. You'd
I've never clicked it. I got 5,431 impressions and 979 engagements. I don't know what that means.
It's really good. Wait, that can't be true. You had 1 in 5 engagement. So how many impressions?
I'll screenshot it. I'll screenshot it right now and send it to you on Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you used YouTube at all?
Yes, actually my YouTube was popping off and then I got really busy. I was doing like a couple of like my own stream segments. Oh my god, you don't know anything about my stream when it comes to others. Yeah, do you know about A Walk with Silva?
Nope.
Oh, okay, we'll get to that later. It has nothing to do with art, or maybe it's an art
Wait, no, but
art
you should
thing.
tell me now. We might not get to it later. Who knows where we'll be?
Okay,
Yeah,
A Walk with Silva is a movie that I made. So you know what Tyler One did with his movie stuff,
sure.
like the like a day in the life of Tyler One. So I did that before him, quite like quite a bit before him. I did a 1 hour movie that is just me, green screen, and just doing that for like 20 viewers because I wanted to have fun. Uh, that's the very TLDR. I have two movies actually. It's A Walk with Silva and A War with Silva. One is 1 hour and the other one is 30
On
minutes.
YouTube?
No.
Okay.
The reason why I mentioned YouTube is because I want to upload them and I want to make a third one
Uh-huh.
for my YouTube. But anyways, I have like stream segments that are art related. One of them is called Silva Decodes.
Yeah.
If you go to my YouTube, there's a bunch of them. That's like the most, like, people like that the most. And then there's the Silva Reviews, which is just me, helping subs out with their like portfolio and paint overs. The paint over is like when someone asks for help, and I literally paint over, showing what it is that I would have done better.
Yeah.
Um, and that was my content, and it was doing really, really well. But then I got busy with like D&D, and I just never had time to do my own personal like Twitch things.
I think YouTube is really, really important for creatives to grow. Basically, for anyone to grow. I sorted by
I
your
agree.
most followed video, your most watched videos, and it's no
Mhm.
coincidence that. So, in terms of YouTube titles, whenever you get back into this, um, putting someone like Silva Decodes in the title, this is not worth doing, right? Nobody knows who Silva is, and nobody cares that you decode.
I was doing it. You're right. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
doing it
Mhm.
purely as an archive thing.
Understood. I think
Yeah.
that going forward, when you get back into this, because presumably you'll be at a point where you want to do it again,
Yes.
um,
Absolutely.
using that video like how to paint like Valorant, this is a great YouTube title, and this is why this overperformed all of your other videos by 3x. Right? It is like draw Valorant characters easily, or draw just like Valorant. Like that kind of title is really, really powerful. And I see you're already doing something where you're like teaching art and you're teaching the concepts of it, which I think is really good to do on YouTube. If you just do a little bit more work on the thumbnails and titles, these would literally be 20 to 40K view videos, all of them.
What would you say to do better in when it comes to thumbnails?
So let's just take the Valorant video. Like and this is already like improving on something like this, but like if I was gonna say something like this, I might say like how to draw just like how to draw, or like 3 easy ways. It's gonna sound like really corny, but just like bear with me. 3 easy ways to draw Valorant characters. Drawing Valorant characters. Drawing Valorant like a pro. A pro artist draws Valorant. Yeah, I understand what I'm doing, but it works. Like that's it, right? And then you might have like a picture of one of the characters, like a picture of a pencil, and like maybe like the shading that's like kind of like grayed out, and then like into like in like a red arrow pointing to like the finished image. Yeah, and that same
Okay.
thing would have made this video from 3.4K to like 20 or 40K straight up, with no difference in the content whatsoever. I promise you.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Alright.
I think you have to sort of make your titles more accessible. But like easy way like easy ways to paint like a pro artist like draws Valorant, or like
Oh, I'm cringing. Okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
but that's what works. So like, dude,
Yeah.
this is just, you can play the game,
Anime boy paints anime girl.
but like
Go.
I don't make the rules for how the game is played.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
you know what I mean? Like
I know.
and for what it's worth, like I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
But like I caught her cheating with a pokey thumbnail as an imposter. I'm looking at Ludwig's videos right now. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
this
Yeah.
is 10 out of 10, dude. Like, you may not like it, but that's what's on the menu, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Like, this video will do insanely good, and it works. Like, title and YouTube stuff, I think one of the big things that a lot of like artists or people that are all kind of independent creators do this, really, is like they'll say something like what you do, which is like, you'll try to tell the people exactly what the video is. These how to paint like series, these are your best series because everyone wants to know how to paint like that, and it's a really, really, like, how to use dynamic brushes. This didn't get a lot of traction because you don't tell me why I should care. The number one tool to improve your artwork, right? That's the way you could name that video.
Okay.
Or like, right, and like that kind of thing gets more people engaged, and then you reveal in it that you like that it's the dynamic brushes. You need to make people care, right? So like, how to color skin, why do I care about that, right? Like, you have to teach me why I care, right? For all of these things, like, the most important thing you have to know about color in art, right?
Oh, I
Like,
know one.
yeah,
How to be the shroud of art. Let's go.
good, great title. Yeah,
Shut the
no, I'm fucking dead serious. I'm not memeing you. Yeah, how to become the most popular artist, like how to become a popular artist. I charge $500 an hour for my art. Here's how. I charge $1,000 for my art. Here's how. I charge right, like, whatever. Yeah, like, dude, it's no coincidence. And like, listen, I hate doing this too, and that's why my YouTube channel sucks. But if I look at my most popular videos, number one, 436K views. How much money top 1% streamers really make? It's the dumbest, most clickbait title with a picture of fucking Pokey looking surprised and Ninja holding bars of gold with red circles around them. I literally went as clickbait as possible, and it worked. I hate it, but that's the reality. That's the world that we live in.
Okay.
Right? Like,
No,
so.
yeah, I get
So
you.
so
Yeah.
you don't. So here's the thing to remember. Okay, like, you don't have to go full dummy and be like John Silva kissing prank number 3 ways artists gone sexual. Okay, like, you don't. That's like 100. Okay, you can go anywhere on the scale from 0 to 100. Okay, so I'm not telling you to go all the way to 100, but I'm telling you you're at like 0 to 10 right now, and you need to like bump those numbers up to like 40 or 50. Does that make sense?
No, please do that. Okay. Artist gone sexual.
How many people would click John Silva gone sexual? I would click that instantaneously.
Stop. No. Oh god. Okay.
Yeah. But the way to think about this is it's your job to make people care. How to create custom shapes in Photoshop? The one Photoshop trick to take your art to the next level, right? You have to make people care. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
And
makes
if you
sense.
did, and I think you are in a really incredible position to establish yourself as an art authority on YouTube and Twitch because of a combination of your collabs and your mastery, your expertise. And you could very easily, like, you might be one of the best positioned people to be like the artist authority on Twitch if you take these steps.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if I care about that, but
What do you care about?
I guess that's the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is you've seen my streams.
Yes.
You know it's not an art stream.
Not good.
When
No,
you really
yeah, not an art stream. Yes, it's part. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So like a lot of the times I am like fucking around and doing something completely different than what's like on screen.
Mhm.
That's because like I like streaming art because I do like art. But over time I've just enjoyed streaming altogether, including like entertainment overall. Right? So like I'd like to marry. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
The thing is, the reason why I was like I'm thinking about it, like I don't want to stop being an art streamer. That's not what I'm like setting myself to. But I want to like I'm trying to think of how can I phrase this that makes sense. I want to have enough stability that I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yep.
Including art. Like that art is in it. Right?
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
um, if I could make full-time income sitting
Hmm.
here playing Path of Exile, which is one of my
Yeah.
favorite games of all time, I would
Hmm.
do this. Okay? Like the
Okay.
fact of the matter is that if I switch this stream right now over to playing Path of Exile, I will probably get a 20th of the viewers if I'm lucky. Okay? Because my core competency and the thing that I am really good at is I am the number one industry authority on Twitch and YouTube and in this form of media. Um, so people come to watch, and I think like I have a lot to say about this subject, right? Like, um, I used to be a game streamer on Twitch. I was a variety broadcaster. I don't stream games on Twitch now at all.
Hmm.
When the reason is because when when I start my stream, my viewers have an expectation for what they're going to get. They're going to get a show that is entertaining slash informative and centered around meta topics that the internet cares about. Okay.
Right.
If I
The one thing.
build,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know where this is going. So this is not all bad news. Don't worry. Because I know what your objective is.
I'm already crying. It's okay.
Okay.
Does.
Mhm. If I get to the point, and so like I'm at the point now where I've started to kind of think about how would I branch that out to do different types of things. And so what one thing I might do is like a Ludwig or a Mizkif type contest, okay, which would be sort of like a horizontal pivot, right? It would be close. So for example, like we review top 10 anime fights. Obviously we can't
Yeah.
do that because it's DMCA, but like like stuff like that, right? And like
Yeah.
you start like making content that's actually like directed or like show oriented content. I could easily transition to that. But if I go play like I don't know, like Cyberpunk like in next month, like I'm probably going to have like a fraction of it. So in that sense, I think the good and bad news here is the good news is you've already done something that most people can't do, which is you've found something that works. You have a core competency, you have a strength, and you need to use it. And then from
Yeah. That's what I've been
there,
doing.
you can branch out into things very gradually. But the
Yeah.
way to do that is by establishing yourself. So let's use another streamer who I talk about a lot, Zizarin. Do you know him?
Yes.
Path of Exile streamer.
Yes.
Doesn't necessarily want to play Path of Exile for his entire life, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
his strategy is he has started doing ARPG content on YouTube, which like
Hmm.
he'll do a review of a Lost Ark or Wolfson or a game like that, right? And so
Yeah.
he'll slowly start to branch out and become an authority on these things until he is actually an authority on everything.
Yeah.
And so like so it's like it starts at Path of Exile, and then maybe it goes to ARPGs. From ARPGs, maybe it goes to strategy games. From strategy games, maybe it goes to all games. Before you know it, you have an audience that watches you for whatever you do. But you have
Yeah.
to respect and understand how hard it is. There are
Oh, I
literally
do.
2 streamers on the platform right now at a high level that can do that. It's like Soda and Moon are pretty much like people will mention other ones like Co Carnage. It's a very, very small percentage of total broadcasters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason. Okay. So I never. Um. I never thought of this of like branching out until until it looked real to me. So what I mean by that is like so many times I'll do literally something completely different because I stream for myself
Hmm.
for first and foremost, and then I stream for chat, and I want to hang out with chat. I don't care like view count and all that we talked earlier on, and even sub count. It's literally that. And plenty of times I will literally switch to anything, and the view count doesn't change.
Yeah.
So over time, this has been something that happened like over time. Sure, it will drop like 20%, which I still think it's a win. Like to my eyes, at least, I thought it would be like way worse. So over time, slowly over time, we reach a point which is like I'm having this talk with you today,
Hmm.
where I go like, wait, it doesn't matter what I. It's starting to not matter what I do. It just matters that I do me, whether that's art or literally anything else. Um, and I also go a lot by like chat engagement. I've seen something bizarre happening where I get more support, like even if there's like less people, I'll get like more subs, for example.
Hmm.
Maybe it's because the community is like smaller and they feel like supporting that thing that I'm doing, like like opposite from art. It's not something I always wished. It's just it naturally came to be. It was like a very very gradual transition. It still is. I never want to stop doing art on stream. That's something I've have like decided, like ultimately. Someone I look up to actually, I wish I would watch more of her streams, which is Daph. She does
Yeah.
art pretty much every single day,
Yes.
right?
Hmm. I had
And
a
she does
long
very
talk with
well.
Def. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, I don't. Chat is gonna type ego. It is not an ego thing. Before I say what I want to say, I when I look at people overall and I see them succeed, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I am naive, but if someone else can do it, I kind of believe I can do it too, which is why I even got into art to begin with,
Hmm.
because I saw other people draw in like insane drawings, and I'm like, I could do this. So I like went ahead and did it. Now it's, they're fucking spamming me
It's
hard.
okay. Yeah.
It's fine. So I was like, I feel like if people can do that, they're just people, like you said. You know, Moon is just a guy, Dev is just a girl. Um, and I don't know why I have like a gut feeling that gradually, with a lot of work, with a lot of, just streaming and all that, I feel like it could be possible. I'm not saying like reaching that level, but like
Okay.
possible to just do whatever I want,
Couple of
kind of thing.
things, right? Um, One is that many of the broadcasters aforementioned are people who succeeded on one game and then branched out. Moon Moon, for example, on Overwatch, Co Carnage on Never Won a Nights, right? So we can go there. The second thing is that the things and the rules that applied to those people at those times may not be the same rules as now. For example, that if you can grow at that time, you may not be able to grow now at that present moment when the market is much more saturated. That's why I'm saying that if you are going to succeed, so let's I'll end that statement and then I'll ask you a question. If you are going to succeed, I think YouTube is a critical component of your success. That said, what is your definition of success? How big do you want to get? And how many what in your mind seriously looks like, and you can sit back and be like, this is where I want to be, and I'm happy with it.
Mm, that's a good question. I feel like um I'd like to make okay, from a let's talk money because it's easier an easy measurement because comfortability and all that. Um like I'd like to make as much as I was making uh in like working with studios, which is like 3.5 maybe 4K. And that's like good. To me. Like I personally consider that successful. You definitely can earn more. Like I've done projects where I was like getting 10K, but those are like far and few in between. I'd say just like livable wage, and I get to have fun. Smile. That's pretty much it. Okay, so the like another thing I need to add is like I regardless of how young I look, I don't really like talking much about my past, but I will just touch on the fact that I never got to enjoy my young adulthood,
Hmm.
which I think may be why I'm kind of like, like I'm reacting the way that I do, where I just want to have fun and do like silly things because I actually never got to do that as a young adult. Like
Hmm.
that was like stripped away from me. It wasn't like my choice, so to speak. Um, so now I found an outlet that I'm passionate about that slowly like it was none of this was pre-planned. It was just go live. Oh, there's cool people. I like this. Let's do it again and again and again and again. And then it's just evolved into, you know, me talking to you, me talking to anyone, really, right? It was a very natural transition. I didn't pinpoint things or did things like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing today. Like it was literally like, what do I want to do today? Go live. do it. It just so happens that it was art because a lot of it are commissions.
Mhm.
So a lot of my time is spent in front of the computer painting. Might as well do it with people, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it.
Okay, so if your goal is $4,000 a month doing anything that you want, that's definitely attainable. I think
Mm,
if your goal is like I want to be Moon Moon and stream any game I
no,
want to 10,000 viewers, I'll be like,
no, no.
yeah,
I care only about chat and chat only. I will say this, that if my chat was trash, I would stop streaming. I don't
yeah,
care
I would
if
too.
I had
Yeah, I
4,000.
would too. The one of the things I hate telling them this because then they start feeling good about themselves, and I don't ever want them to do that. But I really value the amount of intellect that comes in from this community when we are, especially when we are discussing like really deep business issues or things like that, because they often add a lot more to the conversation than even I can, and it's super valuable. So I understand that. I am also a streamer who's decided to try to. Granted, I guess it's part time, but it's not the same exact corollary. But I've opted to do things that make the community good instead of make the community big, right?
Yes.
In a marketing sense, I know the difference between those two things, right? I'm willing to sacrifice, I'd say, like 90% more viewership, where I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure if I did this stuff, if I implemented every marketing tactic that I know, that I could be like 5 to 7K Andy, right? But the cost of that would be not only a garbage chat, but I would also be like, in my mind, like far lower tier of a person for to have to create the kind of content that would
I
beget that audience.
I will say that I may be speaking out of line here. I probably am, but I'll still say it. Uh, I feel like chat is very much a reflection of the
The
streamer. Yeah, a
broadcaster.
lot of, yeah.
Hmm.
To the point where like the same chatter will be like very wholesome, very caring, and positive in one chat, but literally the moment like five
They'll
minutes
be
later
shit
they'll go to
posting.
someone else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So the reason why I wouldn't care about like viewership, and I'd say like other than being stressed of having like a higher view count or low, right, is the fact that it doesn't matter if my focus is on streaming. I could have 10,000 people and it'll still be the same. It's just a faster chat. I believe in that. That probably is not true, but maybe. I mean, yeah,
Your chat's probably faster than the average person at your size. I think that's safe to say, and you probably have a better community as a result. I think a lot of small broadcasters foster good communities. I don't think that's particularly an uncommon thing.
yeah.
Um, the thing that I'm about to say some fucking super profound shit because I just thought of it. The thing that
Let's
takes
go.
you from a small broadcaster to a large broadcaster is actually the thing that takes you from being a small YouTuber to a large YouTuber. The same thing we just discussed. It is making yourself more accessible and teaching people why they should care. I think some of the most interesting people are people who are experts that manage to convince you about why what they're an expert at is interesting. On its own, astrophysics isn't that interesting, but Neil deGrasse Tyson explaining it is interesting to a lot of people. On its own, business industry shit about meta stuff on Twitch and analytics and stuff like that and statistics is not interesting. But if I say it in a way of like, hey, here's how Ninja used this to make $35 million, then it does become interesting. The key is
Yeah,
to take your expertise and to translate it in a way that other people can access it and you can teach them why they care.
yeah. No, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's kind of what I've been doing. It's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
And
I mean,
so,
besides the YouTube stuff, right? But like, if you go to my stream, like I could explain in a professional manner how everything works when I paint. But when someone asks me a question, I'm talking to, even if that person is an artist, I'm in my brain. I'm like, okay, talk to this person as if they know nothing about art, like
mm,
you know, and make it somewhat entertaining, not only for them but for me, because dude, art can get pretty boring once you do it for a while. You
mm-hmm.
know, you do the same thing for 10 years, it becomes like second nature. So I try to find things that will make it funny. Like like humor to me is a huge thing. um and a huge drive why I enjoy, um, you know, streaming art, and yeah, overall, I just like having fun. It's the main thing.
We haven't gotten very, and maybe this is another talk away, just getting into
Yeah,
I think like your brand and how to improve it. The
yeah.
very short TLDR of that is a focus on YouTube with the suggestions I mentioned. And
Hmm.
if you are interested in income in the short term, it's to transition to Patreon when you have time. Because it's just going to be so powerful, especially if you're offering like the thing is, I've thought about this a lot, and I kind of want to do this in 2020, if I have time, right? Um,
Yeah.
because I have so many people that are asking me how to grow brands or how to create a broadcast or how to make a successful YouTube channel. Building a Patreon that's just like a $5 entry fee, you get all of it, right? And like I'm not gonna nickel and dime people or have like yo like I'm gonna sell like a $500 course or something, right? Like I'm not gonna do that. Um,
Yeah.
that is just where that content lives because I can't put that here or on my YouTube channel by virtue that I have to be accessible on those places. I have to be very curated in how I target those places. As I think would be very productive as a direction for me, and I think is something that you could really think about. If you want to continue, at least even as part of your brand, being this kind of like art authority, then providing content to that end on a Patreon can help you get to that 4,000 number pretty easy,
Hmm.
and I think would be very
Okay.
valuable. Yeah. So I think that's a possible direction. I also think that you might be at a point where you may be getting so many commissions from your collaborations that you just easily get there, and you might just do commissions on your own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely hit more than 4K currently. I don't know for how long that's gonna last,
Right.
but it's, that's totally possible. But I feel like the only thing is that only do commissions right now. It's on stream and I have fun, but then it leaves very little time for me to do my own
Hmm.
like stream thing, right? Essentially,
You
I
also stream
modify
a
like
lot.
I do.
Yeah, and one of the biggest recommendations that I have, so like you streamed like
Mhm.
113 hours in the last 30 days, is you can usually do more with less when it comes to streaming. And I know this is and this is with the caveat that I understand that you genuinely love to do it and that's why you're doing it.
Yeah.
But you also have to balance that against your life and brand goals. And I usually recommend that people take like 10 to 20%. That's 2 minutes out of every 10 in their day. Instead of streaming to spend it on something deliberate, like in the same way that you did deliberate practice, do deliberate work to grow your brand and grow your content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think that's attainable.
that looks like YouTube. That looks like right. And like because I think that for you that income is going to come from a combination of commission work and subscription and revenue from streaming and then Patreon. Like if you do all these things, it sounds like a lot, but really it's like you're streaming 4 to 6 hours. You're using those VODs to upload to YouTube with the proper titles and thumbnails. So you're not even like really um, creating separate YouTube content. And then you have a Patreon and you have your commission work, you'll probably hit closer to like 9 to 10K a month pretty easy.
Damn.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we can
That's
do like a follow up
pretty
talk
crazy.
about that whole subject and like break that down. Cause I think this was like a talk for artists and creative people,
Yeah.
which was immensely valuable in the sense of like how you broke down and described like your journey here is like so
Yeah.
productive. It's really good for people.
All right. So thank you for having me, first of all.
Of course,
You're
man.
super cool. And for your help as well. This is very insightful. Chat. Goodbye. Take
Yes.
care. I'll see
How do
you
people find
later.
you, John?
Um
Get use
my
the
stream.
get that CTA going.
Just go to my stream.
What's your
It's
stream?
John underscore Silva underscore
HTTP // John underscore
underscore Silva.
Silva.